All right, everyone, we've got to talk about stuff that happened yesterday with the Kavanaugh hearings because it was pretty surreal, especially with Lisa Bash. I mean Zina Bash, and with Fred Guttenberg, actually. It was not even directly connected to what was going on, per se. We've got this weird situation where the Republicans basically sat there just heaping praise on him and saying, oh, you're a good constitutionalist, you know what to do, you have a long, distinguished career. And it's like, they know he's going to get confirmed. Because the Democrats helpfully years ago, when Obama was in office, changed the rules of the Senate in order to allow a simple majority to appoint a SCOTUS nominee to the position, to confirm them. Before that, you needed a supermajority of the Senate to agree. The idea was you didn't want partisan justices. You wanted at least the illusion that they were capable of not being partisan, unless the Senate was overwhelmingly held by one party or ideology or the other. Now they need only a simple majority. What do the Republicans have? They have a simple majority by exactly a vote. Even if McCain had been replaced by an empty space, Pence would have been the tiebreaker. So the Republicans will get Kavanaugh on there in double quick order. And the Democrats spent the whole time airing their grievances, pretending that they could stop him. They're playing up to their fan base. They can't just do what's sensible, which is to say, well, I have my misgivings, but let's have an honest hearing. No. They're not going to do that. They're going to browbeat him every step of the way, drag him through the mud, and it's going to be very funny because then for the next decades to come, Kavanaugh will be a political figure, even though he's not supposed to be. The Supreme Court's not supposed to be political. It's supposed to be detached. It's like the House is closest to the people, directly voted for. Originally, the Senate wasn't. It is now. The Senate's supposed to slow things down a little and act like a quasi-oligarchic council. It's almost like the fusion of every possible form of government, under Plato, the four forms of government, are supposed to be in force within the Republic in lessened form. You have the direct democracy with the House, you have the oligarchy with the Senate, you have the timocracy with the judicial system, 9 justices, and then you have, the dictatorship, the tyranny, which didn't have negative connotations as much back then, with the president. You have all 4 forms. They complement one another properly understood. We've fallen away from that to a considerable degree. The Senate is now directly democratic, more or less. Now they're trying to make the Supreme Court that way. Pretty soon, the only thing standing in the way of total tyranny will ironically be the presidency. But yeah. So it was basically a freak show. It boiled down to partisan lines. But Kavanaugh will be confirmed. Then you had, when Kavanaugh was about to walk out, I think for break at the time, Fred Guttenberg approached him. He's like, oh, I'm Fred Guttenberg, shooting survivor's father, and tries to shake his hand. Now, if he had just been the relative of a shooting victim, and he was doing this, it'd be like, well, just shake the dude's hand. He came in there with a political axe to grind. Openly avowed, he is an activist for the anti-gun movement. That's what Fred Guttenberg is. When you do that, when you have an individual who otherwise would just be like a concerned party to tragedy or something, that's one thing. When they begin speaking about that issue in a blatantly political and activistic way, they are no longer primarily a shooting victim's dad or a shooting victim's friend or a shooting victim. They are primarily an activist. Kavanaugh does not want to appear political. He hasn't been confirmed yet. He is not going to fucking shake your hand. It was a setup. It was planned this way. It was part of Fred Guttenberg's strategy all along, knowing full well that the media would then browbeat Kavanaugh thereafter. It's just a political floor show. Then you had Zina Bash. And Zina Bash was resting her arm, and she had it sort of like this. Instead of assuming she was Italian, or that she was a Swedish Chef fan, or that she was any politician, because, there's a picture of Clinton doing this, there are pictures of Obama doing this, there are pictures of all of them doing that. They said, well, this is a hate symbol. Is she making a white supremacist symbol? I wouldn't be surprised, because she's associated with the Trump administration. Now, of course, the reason why they think it's a hate symbol is because of an elaborate 4chan scheme. It was literally a troll. It was to troll the left. The idea was that the left was gullible. The premise was the left, if you tell them something is a hate symbol, they're just going to believe it. They're not going to fact check. They're going to assume it's true and then go off looking for people to victimize with claims of bigotry or Nazism or something. So they said, hey, we'll take this symbol, and we'll convince them it means white power. Wow, it'll be a fun time. We're going to troll the left. They took the bait, hook, line, sinker, and then some. They gobbled up the whole line. They gobbled up the reel. They gobbled up the boat and the oars, and then drank down the fishermen. That's how much they were taken in by this particular scheme. And it was hilarious, because I can remember it at the time when they were first fucking pushing it on politically incorrect. It was great. And then, when it was exposed that this was basically a troll, literally a conspiracy theory in the sense of the corporate media regurgitating this line, it was funny. All of the secondary corporate media was like, oh, is Zina Bash a white supremacist? Is this a Nazi symbol, or was she just resting her hand? You decide. It's like, there's nothing to decide, dude. It's not a Nazi symbol in any way. I saw so many people moving the goalposts. Once it was exposed that this was a troll, which is exactly what it is, what did they do? They said, oh, yeah, of course it's not a white supremacist symbol. Ha ha ha. I didn't actually believe it. I was just pretending to be dumb. But she's still dog whistling because in 4chan culture, people made it a joke. No, what's happening is you are being mocked for being gullible. If you're on the left, you're being mocked for being stupid. You're being mocked by people who are actually in on internet culture for not understanding internet culture. That's what it boils down to, and you deserve to be mocked. You're morally outraged lynch mobs. Don't know what they're talking about. You spew nonstop stupidity. You don't know anything about politics. You don't know how to manage an economy. You don't know what propaganda is. Most of you are fooled by it. What are you supposed to do but mock somebody who falls into all those categories? So no, Zina Bash is not a white supremacist, and then people then slowly began to realize, oh yeah, she's got a Mexican mom and she's Jewish. Probably not exactly, probably not on the front lines of some Richard Spencer squadron that's going to come to DC and take it over for the Fourth Reich. But there are still people that'll believe it because, you know, again, they're dumb. So the Kavanaugh hearings overall were totally dumb. It was basically a partisan floor show between a Republican Party that understands he will be confirmed. They have the votes to confirm. This is all basically just ceremonial. It's basically the partisan lead up to allow the Democrats to vent for a while before they confirm him anyway. And then the Democrats are all going to vote against him. And it was I can't remember which Republican was saying this, but basically telling Kavanaugh rhetorically, hey, you do realize not a single Democrat is going to vote for you. By the way, if the Democrats want Kavanaugh to be a fair justice when he inevitably gets confirmed, wouldn't they want to softball him and not, you know, basically rake him over the coals, make his life miserable? Don't you think that, you know, if you want partisan justices, which is what the Senate decided when it changed the rules to a simple majority in the first place for Obama to get unqualified Kagan onto the Supreme Court. When that happened and they signaled that they wanted partisan justices, don't you think Kavanaugh now might punish you for that? Oh yeah, I was gonna be the split vote on this decision and stand against the 4 conservative justices. Nah, you know what? Fuck you. I think that I'm gonna side with them and really screw the left. Be really funny if that happens. You know, again, be careful what you wish for, but you gotta have some idea of strategy. I warned years ago when they changed the rules, it would backfire in a spectacular manner. They never expected that they would have a Trump to deal with. They never expected they'd have one justice keel over and then another one retire. And Ginsburg will die in Trump's second term, almost certainly. She can't, but I mean, she'd be, what, 90 years old? Yeah, I'm sure she'll be in great health. She's had heart attacks and cancer and everything else. She fucking, at some point, you gotta throw in the towel. That's about all. Peace out.